Have you ever been stuck in traffic, staring at the back of a brand new pickup truck that costs more than most people earn in a year? You know exactly the one. Gleaming chrome on every edge, leather seats that probably run more than your monthly rent, and a loan payment that would make your accountant physically ill. And here's what really gets under my skin. The person behind that wheel probably earns less money than you do. So what is actually going on? How are regular, everyday Americans somehow pulling off these astronomical car payments that seem to laugh in the face of basic math? Here's the part that should make you stop scrolling. The average new car payment in this country has crossed $700 a month. That's not a luxury number. That's the average. And for trucks and SUVs, which have become the default American purchase payments, pushing $900,000, even $1,200 a month, are not unusual. They're Tuesday. And yet somehow millions of people are signing these loans every single month and driving off the lot like everything is fine. So either everyone secretly got a massive raise that nobody told you about, or something else is happening here. Stick with me, because what's actually happening is a lot more interesting and a lot more dangerous. My name is Cash, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, why people make the financial decisions they do, and what it actually costs them in the long run. If you've ever looked at your neighbor's $75,000 truck sitting in the driveway and genuinely wondered how he's paying for it while still complaining about the price of eggs at Kroger, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if it helps you finally crack this modern mystery. Now, before we get into the mechanics of how this is actually happening, let me paint the full picture of what we're dealing with. The average new car payment in America has crossed into territory that would have seemed completely unhinged just 10 years ago. We're talking monthly payments that rival what people pay for rent in entire cities. And yet, millions of Americans walk into dealerships every single month, sign on the dotted line, and drive off the lot in vehicles that cost more than the median household income. But here's where it gets really interesting. Most of these people are not secret millionaires, quietly hiding their wealth. They're not tech founders or trust fund kids. They're teachers, nurses, warehouse workers, and office managers. Ordinary people with ordinary paychecks who somehow found a way to make the numbers work. Or at least they believe they did. The truth is, there's an entire system built specifically to make impossible payments look completely reasonable. And understanding how that system operates isn't just interesting trivia, it's how you protect yourself from signing a financial document that could haunt you for the next 7 to 10 years. This is a money trap situation, and the pit is deeper than it looks from the surface. Let's start with the most basic question. How much money are we actually talking about here? Because when people first hear these numbers, they assume I'm exaggerating. The average new car payment has climbed past $700 per month. $700. Not for a sports car, not for a limited edition luxury SUV. That's the average payment on a regular new vehicle bought by a regular person. And when you look specifically at trucks and SUVs, which have become the default purchase for most American buyers, payments routinely push past $900 per month. And $1,200 a month. That's not rare anymore. That's a completely normal number at dealerships across this country. Think about what $1,200 a month actually means when you write it out. That is $14,400 per year, going towards something that loses value every single day you own it. And that's before you factor in insurance, fuel, and the inevitable repair bill that will arrive at the worst possible moment. This isn't a car payment. For a lot of households, it's a second mortgage on something that will be worth a fraction of its current price before the loan is even halfway done. Now, you might be thinking, Cash, maybe wages have gone up enough to support these payments. Maybe people are just earning more. And I get it, that's the optimistic read. But that's not what's happening. Median household income has increased. Sure, but nowhere near enough to justify these payment levels under any traditional financial framework. So the question remains, how are people actually doing this? The answer is a combination of factors that have fundamentally reshaped how Americans approach buying a vehicle. And none of these factors are good news for the people sitting across from the finance manager at the dealership. Factor 1. Loan terms that stretch into the horizon. Remember when car loans were 3 years? Maybe 4 if you really pushed it? Those days are completely gone. Today's car loans routinely run 6, 7, or 8 years. Some lenders have quietly started offering 10-year auto loans, which sounds less like financing and more like a hostage situation. The appeal is mathematically obvious. Spread a $60,000 truck over 8 years instead of 4, and the monthly number drops significantly. A payment that would have been $1,500 over 4 years suddenly feels manageable at $900 over 8. That lower monthly number is exactly what the buyer fixates on in the dealership. Not the total, not the interest, the monthly, because the monthly feels survivable. But here's what most people never stop to calculate when they're sitting under those showroom lights. Stretching the loan doesn't just lower the monthly payment, it massively inflates the total amount paid over the life of the loan. That $900 payment over 8 years adds up to more than $86,000. The 4-year loan on the same truck would have cost around $72,000 total. That's a $14,000 premium just for the psychological comfort of a smaller monthly number. And that's before the deeper problem kicks in. Cars depreciate fast, especially in the first few years. By the time you're 5 or 6 years deep into an 8-year loan, you will owe significantly more than that vehicle is worth on the open market. That's called negative equity. And once you're in it, you are trapped. You can't sell it without writing a check to cover the gap. You can't trade it in without rolling that debt directly into your next loan. It's a financial quicksand pit. The more you struggle, the deeper you sink. And what's insidious about this particular trap is that it doesn't feel like a trap when you're in it. It feels like owning a truck. Factor 2. The myth of 0% financing. Walk into any dealership today, and you'll see banners screaming 0% APR for qualified buyers. Sounds incredible, right? Free money to drive home your dream truck. Hear me out. Here's what the dealership absolutely does not want you to understand about those 0% offers. The cost of that financing doesn't disappear. It gets baked directly into the price of the vehicle. You're either paying full sticker price and getting 0% interest, or you're getting a discount on the purchase price and paying market rate interest. You don't get both. That's not how dealerships stay in business. More importantly, those 0% offers come with strict qualification requirements. The buyers who actually qualify for them are typically the same people who could afford to write a check for the vehicle anyway. For everyone else, especially buyers with anything less than excellent credit, the interest rates on these extended loans can be severe. 6, 7, 8% or more, stretched over 7 or 8 years. The interest alone on a large loan at those rates can quietly add $10,000 to $15,000 to the total cost before you've noticed it's happened. Factor 3. The trade-in treadmill. This is where things get creative. And by creative, I mean financially devastating in slow motion. Here's how it typically plays out. Someone buys a new truck on a 6 or 7 year loan. 3 or 4 years in, they're bored with it, or something expensive breaks, or a newer model catches their eye. But they still owe more on the loan than the truck is worth. So what happens? The dealer doesn't turn them away. The dealer loves this situation. The negative equity gets rolled directly into the new loan. Now they're paying for a truck they no longer own, while simultaneously taking on debt for the one they just drove home. The loan balance keeps climbing, even though they've been making payments every single month. And here's the crazy part. Dealers actually prefer these customers. Someone trapped in the negative equity cycle becomes a repeat buyer by necessity. They can't break the cycle without writing a large check just to exit. So they keep coming back, keep rolling the balance forward, keep falling further behind while the monthly statement tells them they're making progress. Now, I want you to hear a real story here, because this isn't abstract. A viewer shared that they were paying $1,300 a month on a Ram truck, insurance on top of that, $400, gas, $80 a week, and simultaneously carrying a second vehicle payment of $360. When the payments outpaced the income, they turned to payday loans and pawn loans just to keep everything current. That's not a financial strategy. That's financial survival mode with chrome wheels. The good news is, they got out. $20,000 saved after completely changing course. That transformation is possible, but it doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you finally understand the system you've been playing against. Let me give you permission to say this out loud. This system is not designed for you to win. Every person in that dealership, the salesperson, the finance manager, the lending institution, makes money when you sign. You are the only person in that room whose interests are not represented. Keep that in mind before you fall in love with the monthly payment. Now let's talk about how people actually restructure their entire lives around these payments. Because even with extended terms and promotional rates, $700 or $1,200 is still a massive monthly obligation for most households. And this is where the psychological damage starts compounding, in ways that don't show up on the loan statement. Think about the last time you watched someone rationalize a financial decision they'd already emotionally committed to. That's what's happening here. Every single month, in households all over the country, people are moving into smaller apartments, skipping vacations, eating at home 7 nights a week, and deferring every other major life purchase, all to protect a vehicle payment that consumes 25 to 30% of their take-home pay. Some are picking up weekend side work, delivering food or driving rideshare on the weekends, using that same expensive truck to generate the income needed to service the loan on that same expensive truck. That is a level of irony that should be studied. Others are doing something genuinely alarming, pulling early withdrawals from their 401k, or taking loans against their retirement accounts to cover down payments or bridge negative equity gaps. They're borrowing from their future selves to fund a depreciating asset. Most people dramatically underestimate what that actually costs them. Between taxes, early withdrawal penalties, and the lost compound growth on that money over the next 20 years, you're not just pulling out the dollar you borrow, you're potentially giving up $3 or $4 in future wealth. For a truck, that will be worth $15,000 in 7 years. And there's another pattern worth naming here. New graduates, fresh nurses, new engineers, first-year professionals of every kind. The moment they see a real paycheck hit their bank account, a significant number of them drive straight to the dealership. Student loans still unpaid, no emergency fund, no investment account. But a $70,000 truck with every trim option feels like a reward for surviving school. And the industry is ready for them with open arms and a 7-year loan. Good money and smart money are not the same thing. That distinction is worth tattooing somewhere visible. Here's the thing most people miss when they think they've calculated affordability. A vehicle purchase is not just the monthly payment. Insurance on a $65,000 truck can easily run $200, $300 per month. For younger drivers or anyone with less than a perfect record, that number climbs higher. Add comprehensive coverage, collision coverage, and the gap insurance that most lenders require on expensive financed vehicles, and you're looking at insurance alone running $2,400 to $3,600 per year. For families running 2 or 3 expensive vehicles simultaneously, total insurance costs can push toward $500 or $600 monthly. That is $6,000 to $7,000 a year, just for the legal right to operate depreciating assets on public roads. And as one insurance professional noted, when someone walks into their office, shocked at the premium on their new $80,000 truck, there is genuinely nothing the agent can do to fix it. The decision was made at the dealership 3 weeks earlier. The insurance bill is just the consequence showing up at a different address. Then there are maintenance and repair costs, which have a way of arriving at the exact worst moment. Modern trucks and SUVs are extraordinarily complex machines, packed with sensors, driver assistance systems, and proprietary technology that requires specialized equipment to diagnose. When something goes wrong, and with enough miles, something will always go wrong, the repair bills are not what buyers imagined when they were focused on the monthly payment. A standard brake job on a modern truck runs $800 to $1,200. Transmission work can land at $5,000 or more. Major engine issues? You could be looking at a $10,000 repair bill on a vehicle you're still making loan payments on. One repair shop owner put it plainly. It baffles him that people will sign up for a new $700 per month payment rather than spend a few thousand to fix a perfectly reliable vehicle they already own. That math only makes sense when the emotional pull of something new overrides the logical read of the situation. Most people carrying extreme car payments have no emergency fund set aside for repairs, which means when the inevitable happens, it lands on a credit card or gets wrapped into another loan. Now we have a truck payment, high-interest debt on a repair bill, insurance running over budget, and fuel costs that nobody accurately projected. That's not one financial problem. That's a cascading system of obligations that feed each other. And it all started with a monthly payment that felt manageable on a Saturday afternoon in a showroom. And the fuel math alone deserves its own moment. A truck averaging 15 miles per gallon in real-world conditions, and that's being generous with gas prices bouncing between $3 and $5 a gallon, generates fuel costs of $350 to $450 per month for a normal commute. That's over $4,000 a year, just in fuel. For a vehicle that, as many people have pointed out, almost never actually hauls anything, these trucks are not work tools for most of their owners. They're pavement royalty. Expensive to operate, impressive to park, and built to perform an identity that most owners never actually test. Think about it this way. If someone told you they were spending $1,200 a month on a gym membership they used twice, you'd have serious questions for them. If they said they were dropping that same amount on a vacation timeshare they visited once, you'd be concerned. But somehow when it's a truck payment, we nod and say, well, you need reliable transportation. The normalization of this is not accidental. It's the result of decades of marketing investment that has welded vehicle ownership to American identity at a cellular level. Your truck isn't just how you get to work. It's a declaration of who you are. The automotive industry is extraordinarily sophisticated at selling that declaration. They don't sell trucks. They sell the version of yourself that hauls lumber, tows boats without breaking a sweat, and handles anything life throws at you with quiet confidence. That commercial showing a rugged pickup scaling a Rocky Mountain trail isn't about utility. It's about selling you the fantasy that you're the kind of person who needs a truck like that. Even if the most intense off-roading in your week is navigating a speed bump at the grocery store, We've rebranded basic transportation as a personality type, and the industry has made billions doing it. Here's where the math becomes genuinely brutal. Let's run the full numbers that most people never bother to calculate before signing. Someone buys a $55,000 truck on a 7-year loan at 6% interest. Monthly payment? Roughly $800. That feels manageable. Over the life of the loan, they'll pay approximately $67,000 total. Now add insurance at $250 a month. That's another $21,000 over 7 years. Fuel at $350 monthly. Another $29,000. Maintenance and repairs over 7 years. Conservatively $15,000. And that's if nothing major goes wrong. Add it all up, and this person will spend over $130,000 on transportation over 7 years. And at the end of those 7 years, the truck is worth maybe $15,000 on a good day. They paid $130,000 for the privilege of driving a $15,000 vehicle. That's not transportation financing. That is wealth destruction, with a tow package and heated mirrors. Alright, real talk. Have you ever actually run this math on a vehicle you currently own, or one you're thinking about buying? Pull out your real numbers and drop them in the comments. I'm genuinely curious what people are actually sitting with. And here's the number that should sit with you longer than any other in this video. That same $800 monthly payment, if redirected into a basic index fund earning 8% annually, would grow to over $70,000 after 7 years. You wouldn't just have avoided the financial burden of the truck. You would have built real, investable liquid wealth. Instead, the truck owner holds a vehicle worth $15,000 and no savings to show for 7 years of payments. That's a gap of over $55,000 between the two paths. One path required discipline. The other just required a signature and a good feeling on a Saturday afternoon. It feels like running as fast as you can in the wrong direction and measuring progress by your speed. It feels like paying rent on something you convinced yourself you own. It feels like watching your net worth get hollowed out, month by something sitting in your driveway slowly depreciating. The emotional echo of this doesn't hit all at once. It builds, slowly, until one day you do the actual math and feel it all at once. There's a funny stop sting. Actually, let me put it this way. Once someone commits deeply to these payments, the truck stops being a vehicle and starts being an identity, a reflection of hard work, success, and the right to enjoy what you've earned. The idea of trading down to something cheaper and reliable stops sounding like a smart financial move. It starts sounding like surrender, like admitting you can't keep up, like telling the world something you're not ready to admit. And the industry understands this psychology better than most people understand themselves. They've spent billions studying exactly how to trigger that response and convert it into a loan signature. Walk into any dealership and notice what they never bring up: total cost of ownership, opportunity cost, or what that money could build in an index fund over a decade. What you will hear is the monthly payment, the extended term option, the warranty you can fold into the loan, and the gentle suggestion that you'll probably want something newer in a few years anyway. That last line is the most expensive sentence in any sales pitch, because it's specifically designed to initiate the cycle all over again. So what's the actual way out? Because there is one, and it doesn't require radical sacrifice, it requires a different lens. If you're currently in a manageable loan, the move is simple: stay in it, pay it off, then drive that vehicle until the wheels are negotiating their own retirement. The moment that loan is gone, you face a fork in the road. One path takes that same monthly payment and routes it into a car fund or an investment account. The other hands it back to a dealership. One of those paths builds a snowball rolling toward you. The other keeps the pit open and waiting. If you're in the market for a vehicle right now, the single most underrated move in personal finance is buying a 2 to 4-year-old used vehicle that's already absorbed the sharpest drop in its depreciation curve. You get a reliable modern car at a fraction of new price, often with lower total financing costs too. A well-maintained 2010, 2012, or 2015 model with a clean service history is not a consolation prize. It is a winning financial position dressed up as an older car. And before you sign anything new or used, run the full number, not just the monthly payment. The total payment over the loan term, plus insurance, plus a realistic fuel estimate, plus a conservative maintenance buffer. Add those up, divide by 12, and see what transportation is actually costing you per month. If it exceeds 15% of your take-home income, something in that equation needs to change before you sign. Here's the bottom line. The people who look like they're sacrificing because they drive paid-off older cars, a lot of them aren't sacrificing anything. They're just not performing wealth for an audience that isn't paying attention anyway. Meanwhile, the people in the gleaming $80,000 trucks with the chrome packages and the panoramic sunroofs, a surprising number of them are eating cereal for dinner to make the payment work and hoping nothing expensive breaks before the loan is done. If this changed how you think about what's sitting in your driveway or what you're considering signing for, pass it along to someone who needs to hear it before they make a 7-year mistake.